Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you took some time or had the time to get some rest, recuperate, do some fun things, just do nothing sometimes. Sometimes that's all you need, right? Just spend a day in your pajamas, eating junk food and playing a video game, or going out for walks, going out for runs, or whatever it is that helps you feel rejuvenated, you know, I hope you did. I did manage to find a little bit of time to go take some long walks, which is one of the things that helps me out. So I decided, even though it's not one of the usual PowerPoint lectures, I'm wearing a silly hat. It's kind of a goofy hat, and this one it's different from the other silly hats because I actually wear this one. Uh, it's so hot outside, I felt inspired to wear my spring and summer hiking hat. So there you go. This is how dorky I look in the summer. Usually with my hair up, because with this mane, I can't handle the heat of having my neck covered by all the hair. So this is mostly what I look like in the summer, and it's been very warm, and it's been nice to, yeah, I love winter, but it's been nice to go outside in a sweater. So there you go. So I wanted to take a couple minutes to thank you for responding to the survey. A few of you did. It's still available for those of you who haven't had a chance yet and would like to make your opinion known. Um, I had done the anonymous survey because I find it helps students feel comfortable in expressing what they need without being afraid that they'll be judged. And some students have sometimes have expressed to me, I never bother with those things. That's not going to change anything. Well, I mean, I in the almost 20 years that I've been teaching, I've responded to feedback that I've gotten to help me become a better teacher. At least I hope that I've become a better teacher. Um, and so I've tried to be as responsive as I could to feedback, especially the stuff that gets said a lot, to just kind of see where students are at as well. Obviously, I don't always, because, if you've ever gotten feedback about anything in your life, you know that if 10 people say great things, you're going to remember that one person who's less happy. And, teachers are affected by that too. So even though most of you seem to be happy with the way things are going, what stands out is the stuff that's less positive. So, but, on a positive note, most of you seem to be pretty happy about how the course is structured. So I'm glad that it's working for you. Um, the other thing that I want to say is that first question on the quiz was about how people are doing in general, and this is most of what I want to talk about now. A lot of there's a couple of people for whom this pandemic has actually been good. I'm one of those people, actually, kind of eliminating the stress of having to be around a lot of people. I'm one of those autistic people who kind of gets peopled out fairly easily, so it's actually been very restful for me. But I have a secure job and a home, and so I'm one of the lucky ones. So there's a couple students who are actually really enjoying this stuff about learning from home, but most of you are feeling very overwhelmed by it all. So there's stuff that came out in that first question that is very typical, even when we're not dealing with a pandemic. Students feeling overwhelmed, there's so much work, a lot of it happens at the same time. So the survey came out right during the midterm crunch, so that's where people were. A lot of you were in that crunch zone. So I get that. So that's not specific to the pandemic, but some of you did comment that with you're feeling very overwhelmed by all the online stuff, the quantity of documents that are coming your way, the quantity of messages. So I get that. I do try to not send too many messages. I try to stick to the one a week, unless there's something very important that's coming down the pipeline that I need you to be aware of, or that there's a very common question. I'm like, okay, if 5 people have asked me this question, or even 2 or 3, that means a bunch more are asking. So I do try to, but sometimes we do try to communicate, and it's Amayo is often the best way to get people's attention. That said, I do try to be systematic in how I post things and when I post them. So you're used to it by now. Every Sunday you get the tip of the week that comes out, and a message of the week that kind of has a summary of the week to come. And then a week before something is due, the weekly stuff, always comes out on the Thursday for the following Wednesday. So you know, I try to stick to that system. Um, so yeah, in terms of feeling overwhelmed and just, you know, some of you are feeling depressed, anxious, all these things, I do want to remind all of you of the existence of this page here. So I'm going to go back to Leia to just to show you how you get to this page in the first place. So if you go to distributed documents, and this is a different course, I'll go to our course here. So if you go to distributed documents and you scroll down, and just a note here, if you just feel overwhelmed just looking at your documents because it's all open and it's all like, there's all this stuff, you can click here and have it all collapsed. And it's nice and neat and tidy. So that's one tiny little thing you can do. So if you open up important information here, the second thing is resource list for students. And if you click on this link here, like so, it will take you here. So there's all kinds of resources here, different categories. Some of it is academic stuff, writing, all this stuff. But I do want to look specifically at that first tab, support services, for students who are feeling overwhelmed. There's student services here. Specifically, there's mental health and wellness and health services. So there's a nurse that you can talk to about a whole bunch of things. So those are kind of two things that I send students to often. If you're, you know, again, especially the mental health and wellness, it's better in your generation than it was in mine. I grew up in the 70s and 80s when you didn't talk about mental health. That was just not a thing. You grin and bear it, and that's it. In your generation, it's I think that there's less stigma about it now, but I know that there is still, especially for the guys, you know, people who are assigned female at birth tend to be raised to express their feelings more. Not everybody, but just in general is a social thing in the West. And guys are often kind of socialized to repress or not show their emotions unless it's rage, and then that's okay, right? So just regardless of your gender, regardless of what's going on, there are people who can help you. It's the last time in your life that you're going to get free psychological services, counseling, that sort of thing, because after that it costs money, unless you go through the public system like the CLSC, but then you wait for 6 months or a year before you can get support. So don't wait till it's too late. I've learned the hard way that if you wait till it's too late, you have some pretty unfun consequences. So there's also financial aid. There's a student advocate. So if part of your problem right now, if you feel that you're being treated unfairly by anybody on campus, especially somebody who works on campus, and you've talked to them and the situation isn't being resolved, you're not being heard, you can talk to the student advocate and they'll help you. They'll help advocate for your rights, because you do have rights, okay? And it's good to know that. There are resources for Indigenous students, Indigenous to Turtle Island or North America. The Student Center, obviously, the Indigenous Student Center is obviously closed right now, but there are some services you can access. LGBTIQA resources as well, so there are things on campus that you can access virtually as well, and there's also in here some off-campus resources. So, and there's also academic stuff, so tutoring, and then if you look at the academic support tab, there's other things here, academic skills, and I keep adding to this when things come across my radar. Back here, the other thing I wanted to point out, I'm not sure if it's student services or academic advising, but if part of your thing right now is that you're not motivated because you don't know where you're going, you don't know why you're in school right now, you don't know you're graduating, you don't know what you want to do next, you know, there's career counseling, right? So you can talk to somebody, see what's available to you, what are some options that you have, and there are different kind of fun tests that you can take that help you figure out, oh, maybe I'd be comfortable in this field and something I could consider, and sometimes it's something that you didn't know existed. And when I was 20, I was in that situation. I was in my first year in university and not happy with my program, and I took these tests, and they were saying, oh, you'd feel comfortable as a college teacher. And I laughed at the guy because there was no way in hell, because I couldn't even do an oral presentation without looking at my paper like this. Okay? And look at me now. So, you know, something to think about. So I wanted to, basically that was my main message here with this video, this response to the survey, because that was the question that was most answered, with people feeling very overwhelmed. There are resources, and obviously if there's anything that I can help with the course, obviously that's the only thing I'm competent to help you in because I'm not a psychologist. But, whatever it is you're dealing with, you can talk to me, and if it's something that I cannot help you with, I can refer you to some people that will help you. And in terms of the course, as you know, hopefully by now I've said it enough times, I think, that if you need more time for any of the work, talk to me. Okay? I'm happy to sit with people and come up with a plan. Some in the survey, some people were saying that there were most comments were very positive, and thank you very much. I'm so happy that the formula is working for a lot of you and that you're learning and that you're enjoying what you're learning. So I want to say that. But there were a couple of people who found that there was too much work and who are unhappy with the Wednesday deadline. So with regards to the first thing, I mean, I want to gently push back against the idea that there's too much by reminding you that we don't have any classes, right? We have the Wednesday Zooms, but that is only 5 in the semester that you need to come to, and it's when it works with your schedule, okay? So it's not every week, it's 5 times in the semester. And but other than that, and there's the occasional guest speaker, but there's almost always, so far, there's always been a video that you could watch. So if you couldn't make it, then you could watch it on your own time, and it winds up being a part of your weekly activities. So normally, if we weren't in a pandemic, you'd be spending 3 hours of your week in class with me and the rest of the group. And on top of that, you'd have something to do every week, because in most social science courses, you have things to read every week. So you'd be kind of spending 5 to 6 hours on this class. I designed the course so that you wouldn't have to do that much, because we're dealing with a pandemic, and I'm trying to make it as easy as I can while still getting you exposed to new knowledge. So the stuff that you have to do each week, if in a perfect world where you had the time, you'd be looking at the PowerPoints and then watching the video that I post where I go over the PowerPoint, because the PowerPoint is just a skeleton of points, and in the video it's like in a class, right? There's the skeleton, the outline in the PowerPoint, and then we talk about what's there, and then go into more detail. So you'd watch the video, and then you'd do the readings, or sometimes it's videos that I assign as well, and you'd answer the questions, you'd do the journal, you do the little quiz, and all that together for a typical student, I think, takes no more than 3 hours. For some people it's more. There are different reasons for which people need more time to do the work, and some people breeze through it, right? So, but I think for a typical student, it's designed so that, 3, maybe a bit more than 3 hours, you can do it all in once or spread it throughout the week. That's your choice. In terms of the Wednesday deadline, well, I mean, if I don't do that, then a lot of people would show up to the Wednesday chat not having done the readings. So it's kind of designed, and again, if we were in a regular semester and we had a Monday, Wednesday class where we would meet, there would be something due once a week. It would either be the Monday or the Wednesday, but you still have a whole week in between. So every Thursday morning, you have the work for the following Wednesday at midnight. You have exactly a week. So I don't think that it's unreasonable. Also, again, as I mentioned earlier, I am very flexible as long as people talk to me, and if you ask me at least a day before for an extension, and if you don't do it every single week and abuse my niceness, I'm very happy to accommodate. And if people need an individualized plan, I've done that too, because some people have special circumstances, and I'm happy to kind of work with that as well. So we can't really get around something being due every week. I've made exceptions where I made it on the Friday because there had been a quiz earlier, or it was midterm and everybody had a lot. Now we're coming back from the break and I'm easing you back into it because I did want you to have a break. So that means maybe you're only starting to work on this on the Monday this week. So yeah, I'm giving you till the Friday, but then after that it'll be the Thursday, and then we're going to go back to the Wednesday. All right. So I try to have that flexible approach. And I am willing to make individual accommodations, but we do need a system. So that's the system. So if you have issues, talk to me directly, okay? I think those of you who have know that I've been willing to meet with you, talk with you, and figure out a system that works for you that still fits within the course. And that's pretty much it in terms of the response to the survey. I will, when if you've seen this, it's because you've gotten my message of the week, and you'll see have gotten the link to this. You'll also have seen that the link to the survey is there and that it's still open. So if you haven't had a chance and you're like, oh yeah, I really wanted to put my anonymous feedback in there, you'll still be able to for a little bit. And that is it. Don't be shy to reach out if there's anything bothering you.